The province of Ontario passed legislation this year aimed at protecting youth in amateur sport from head injuries such as the one suffered by Rowan Stringer, the 17-year-old Ottawa rugby player for whom the bill, Rowans Law, is named. It makes this province the first in Canada to put into law head injury protocols for student athletes. Joining us now to assess where it puts us and what else we need to know, Carmela Tartaglia. She is neurologist at the Krembil Neuroscience Centre's Memory Clinic at Toronto Western Hospital. Nilank Jha, neurosurgeon at Toronto Western Hospital and the chair of concussion clinics. And one of the crazy Canucks himself, there's Steve Podborski, Olympic bronze medalist for the downhill skiing at 1980's Lake Placid Olympics. He's now president and CEO of Parachute. And it's great to have all three of you here with us tonight at TVO. I want to start with just some of the basic 411 on Rowans Law. So Sheldon, if you would, let's put this graphic up because Rowans Law hasn't been on the books for very long, provides for the immediate removal of an athlete from a sport if they are suspected of having a concussion, a return to sport protocol to ensure athletes are given the time needed to heal properly, and an annual review of concussion awareness resources that coaches and educators would be required to review before registering in a sport, and finally, a concussion code of conduct that would set out rules of behavior to minimize concussions while playing sport. Steve, as we indicated in the opening, this is the first of its kind in this country. How would you characterize the significance of Rowans Law?
I think what it does is set the stage for proving and acting on the notion that we care for our children and what their lives will be like, not only right away, so they don't die like Rowan Stringer did, but also will actually live a long life to the fullest, that they'll be able to trust that the coaches and the parents and the other athletes will help them get out of the game so they can heal and come back and still play sports for their whole life and have a great life.
Why do you think we have not been adequately sort of seized of what seems like an obvious mission there?
I think in large part because it's a hidden injury. It's the kind of thing where if you have a broken leg, you can't go back. But if you actually hurt your brain, people go, well, you must be okay. And smelling salts used to be part of the protocol. You just get them all jazzed up again and send them out again. And it's wildly inappropriate. We know that now. And so to change our culture, to change the rules, takes some time. It is a process. We used to be okay to smoke in the office and have scotch and grab things. Now it's wildly inappropriate.
Right.
In fact, it's illegal in a few cases. And I think you'll see this kind of change happen with head injuries as well.
Apparently, Carmela, all 50 U.S. states have concussion safety legislation on their books. Why is it in Canada only one province, Ontario, does?
I mean, you know, it took the states a long time to also get that on their books. And it was, I think, similar to us. It's called based on listed law, and somebody's parents, something happened to this child and the parents took it upon themselves as Rowan Stringer's parents. So I think, you know, when there's a personal investment in this, you definitely can drive it forward versus just, well, you know, maybe they had a little bump on the head or they had their bell rung. It doesn't really mean anything. They'll be okay. People aren't okay afterwards.
It does suggest, though, that we're kind of late to the party on this, doesn't it?
We're late to the party on brain diseases in general. Okay, I mean, there's been a real disregard and nihilism towards brain injury, brain diseases, neurodegenerative diseases, and so I think this is all part of it, and this is the era of the brain, and people are starting to pay attention. If you have a brain injury, you change. Your brain is who you are. You are defined by your brain, and you love with your brain, you hate with your brain, you're smart, you become not so smart, you lose yourself if you have a brain injury, any kind of injury. Concussion is a brain injury, strokes are brain injuries, Alzheimer's disease is a brain injury.
In your world of neurology, how long have doctors been urging this kind of a law to be passed in Canada? Well, let me give that one to Nilank.
Well, I think, you know, for many years, even in medical school training, we haven't focused that much on concussions. And as Steve mentioned, it's a silent injury, so it's very difficult to advocate for. It's a lot easier to see a fractured ankle or humerus and advocate for that type of injury. Although we may be late to the party, I think we have a real opportunity to pick up steam. The other provinces can follow through now. And I think that we have to look beyond athletes. You know, this is just the tip of the iceberg. This is actually an issue that affects 1 million Canadians living with brain injuries, as Dr. Tartaglia mentioned, the various forms of brain injury, and 500,000 Canadians a year suffering brain injuries. This is not just athletes. These are factory workers. These are teachers, police officers, nurses. In many cases, the infrastructure is just not there. The Worker Safety Board needs to be better educated that a lot of people, 80% of people do recover in a week or two, but 20% go on to have symptoms beyond 6 months. And when you deny these people treatment, when you deny them their benefits, these are different people, like was mentioned. Now they lose their relationships. It results in divorce. It results in mortgages being lost. These people lose everything they have. And this is a silent epidemic. 7 years ago in 2011, I accompanied Jack Layton to Parliament and was on Power and Politics and met with the federal leaders. And I called for a Royal Commission along with the leadership of Dr. Jack Layton. And people looked at me and said, do you realize that a Royal Commission is a very big thing? And I continued to advocate and said, I don't think you realize how much Canadians are suffering and how much needs to change. We need to bring insurance company leaders, CEOs, worker safety boards, stakeholders, everybody together and form an inquiry and do a Royal Commission and provide the right resources.
Has that happened yet, that Royal Commission?
Not yet, sir. But I hope with your help we can advocate for that. And even from a fiscal perspective, you know, I'll have a 30-year-old who is not returning to work at the pace that they would like. They're only now at half a day, 5 days a week. And they'll say, well, it's been 3 months. You should be back full time. The brain takes time in many cases to recover.
So let's find out now, Steve, whether or not with this Rowans Law in place, how much better do you think things are going to be for student athletes around the province?
Well, I think what they got with this new law is essentially will save the lives of some kids and will improve dramatically the lives of many kids. And this is, in my world, the thin edge of the wedge. Parachute was asked to do a harmonized concussion protocol.
Give us 30 seconds on what Parachute is.
Parachute is the Canada's injury prevention charity. We work on preventing all kinds of injuries with a focus on car crashes and sports and rec. So in the sports and recreational side, you've got our national team athletes. So the Public Health Agency of Canada asked us to provide a protocol for all the sports from the national teams because they wanted them to have the best care. And I think that's in many ways the thin edge of the wedge. We start with the athletes and then we take it out to all the people, as was mentioned here, because everybody deserves that kind of care. If you want to know what the national team athletes get, go to our website, parachutecanada.org, look up concussion, you'll get the protocol. Use it. If you even think you might have hit your head and got a concussion, your kid, your uncle, your mother-in-law, take the protocol, read it, and then follow the steps. It's easy.
Say it again, parachutecanada.org.
Yeah.
Concussion protocol is all there.
Yes.
Carmela, one of the provisos of this new law is that student athletes are going to be given the time they need to heal. But I think not everybody is aware of how much time each individual brain needs to heal. So how's that going to make a difference?
Well, I think that you're perfectly correct in saying we have no idea how long people's brains it takes to heal. And the problem we have is we can't diagnose concussion. So we have to go with people's symptoms. You get a hit, you develop some symptoms. The symptoms have to come from the brain because they're headache and fogginess and poor concentration. And then we have to rely on the person to tell us that they're better. That is not really the same thing as saying the brain is better.
That's the worst question to ask an athlete, because of course they're going to say they're better. They want to get right back in there, right?
Exactly. We're always saying that. You know, you're asking somebody, your judgment lies in the brain. If you get a head injury, that same judgment might not be there. Just like you have this headache and you can't concentrate, well, your judgment's also impaired. So we shouldn't be asking them. We do need to have these protocols in place. And unfortunately, without the research, we're not at a point where we can diagnose, monitor progression, monitor recovery, and then say, yes, your brain is okay. You can go back.
Neela and Camilla just said that they can't diagnose a concussion. Is that right? You can't diagnose a concussion?
Well, we lack an objective diagnosis right now with as many efforts as we make. Even if you look at something like a CAT scan or an MRI, they're usually normal in the cases of concussion. Now, in the case of a SPECT scan, which is more advanced, in acute cases, it's only sensitive to maybe 59% of cases, and 1 year out, 95% of cases. So in a lot of cases, if somebody has a motor vehicle accident or an athlete, and you do an acute SPECT scan, half the time it's normal. And in that case, they could be denied treatment, they could be returned too soon to play. So when you look at large technology like a SPECT scan, which is cost intensive, so on and so forth, it's difficult to appreciate that we would yet have a portable test that could objectively diagnose concussions. We need more research in that area.
You know the problem here is Paul Henderson, right? You know that, eh, Steve? I mean, we're going back a long time now, but 45 years ago at the Summit Series in Moscow, you know, he crashed headfirst into the boards and was concussed.
Yes.
And in today's game, he'd have been hauled out of that game and he would not be allowed to continue playing because he was concussed and he was right out of it.
Yes.
The problem is, you know, he went right back out there and scored the most famous goal in the history of hockey in Canada.
Yes.
How do we, you know, in some
How do we
respect,
balance those two things?
Yeah, exactly. Because can you imagine if he'd been taken out of the
There
game?
were a few other good guys. I think we would have won the game in any
You think
case.
so?
Yes.
If it wasn't for Paul doing it with
Without
30 some
Paul,
odd seconds
yes,
left, somebody else would have done it.
Yeah, yeah. And honestly, you know, if one person gets killed because we put them back in and hope they score the goal, especially if they're a 10 or 12-year-old,
No, it's too high a price, of course, yes.
It is. So that was then. That was, what year was that? The 70s?
72.
Okay. So now it's 2018, and we know a lot more. We have to take care of our family and our friends and our compatriots, and we will gradually get better at it. And so, yeah, the hockey will change, and football's going to change, and driving cars is changing. Everything changes as we go through life. What is shocking is some people have those amazing hits and multiple hits, and they're fine. And other people get one hit and they're ruined. And so we don't know enough to say that's okay and that's not okay. But we do know that we have to take better care today than we did yesterday, and that'll continue to improve with better research. So we got the good team, we take care of our kids, and we look back and go, whew, remember when we survived without seatbelts? Remember when we let Paul hit in the boards and keep playing? Those are the good old days, but we don't want to keep doing that.
Do I assume at some point in your skiing career, after the number of crashes that you had, you sustained a concussion
Yes.
somewhere along the way?
Yeah, I did.
How many do you think?
One when I was skiing and one when I was a kid for sure. And I actually had proper care when I was a skier. I had a doctor there. And so really one of the things that I must say, because it's in our stuff, is that if you hit your head and you think you might have a concussion or somebody does, you have to be diagnosed by a doctor or a nurse practitioner, and don't go back until you get okayed by a doctor or a nurse practitioner.
Any lingering effects at the
For
stage
me?
of Yeah.
Not that I can tell you. And so I'm happy about that.
Good.
And, but it's the kind of thing where that was then and this is now. And so when my kids hit their head, we took them out and we did all the proper protocols. And the stuff we used to do was in the dark room. Today, you don't do that dark room thing. You don't do it at all. And that was just about a year and a half ago. That was the best practice. And it's changed dramatically. And so we can get, if you're an adult, it should take about a week to 2. After that, it's persistent. For a kid, 18 and under, it's 2 weeks to a month, because your brain takes more time to heal when you're a kid, and they're, kids, they barely are human without hitting their head, right? And so you have to be careful with them for doing that. So,
let's look at a scale here of 1 to 10. 1 meaning we don't know anything, 10 meaning we know everything we need to know about concussions and how to deal with them. Where are we on that scale?
I'd have to say we're closer to 4 and 3. Because,
Really?
Yes. We don't have a means to diagnose that you had a concussion. We actually don't understand the pathology. We don't understand what's happened to the brain to give you the symptoms that you end up with. We don't know how to treat it. We don't know how to how to know that you're better, that your brain is better.
How far away do you think we are from a test which would conclusively prove, oh, you've had a concussion, you're out of the game?
Well, we're doing a lot of research in my lab on this, and we think we're close, but we have no test.
Or safe to return?
It's very tough. Right now there is evidence out there that even when kids, they pass all those scales, right? Like there's all these little tests that you do now, and you keep them out for certain amounts of time, and you see how much they can withstand. Even then, there is some evidence that the brain hasn't completely healed. And this is the problem. Without intensive research, without investing in research into this disease, really, and the syndrome that happens with this persistent symptoms, I think we're going to stay a long way off.
Do we have a sense yet about the concussed brain, about how much more vulnerable that person is going forward for the rest of his or her life compared to somebody who has never had a concussion.
Yeah, you know, a couple points, even the Paul Henderson example, if you look at Sidney Crosby, he had 2 concussions in succession 4 days apart. It was the second concussion that appeared to be a minor hit that kept him out for 108 games.
Is that the one in the outdoor game against the Leafs?
No, that was Victor Hedman, the Capitals, and it was the Tampa Bay Lightning.
Okay.
That was more recent, what you're referring to. This was in 2011.
I see.
Now, after leaving for 108 games, he came back to win 2 Stanley Cups, a World Cup, and Olympic gold. So people can still do well after recovering from a concussion, but it takes a period of time.
He took a long time to come back.
He did take a long time, but he did a great job. And, you know, if you look at Eric Lindros, you know, I can't comment on his behalf, but his career with the multitude of concussions, could the management have possibly been a little bit different at times? Whereas Sidney Crosby was out for an extended period of time. So I think that's a good example comparing to Paul Henderson, that even a Crosby can do great. And, you know, we tell kids that every day in the clinic that are hockey players, that take the time to recover, because your future is at peril. You know, Steve, I see kids every day in the clinic. I had a grade 8 kid last week who's been playing football, has had multiple concussions, and now in grade 8 can no longer do long division. He was able to do this in grade 1. We see this all the time. The parents are absolutely concerned, but the only thing the child asks me every time is, my headaches are gone, can I go back on the football field?
Well, that was what I was going to ask. If somebody's had multiple concussions by the age of 13, how do you let them play anymore at all? How do you let them play football anymore at all?
You know what, it's extremely challenging, and I'll get coaches that'll call me and say, look, we just need her on the power play. Can she just be cleared to go on the power play?
Oh my gosh.
And you know what?
Because there's so much at stake in 12-year-old hockey, right? Oh my goodness.
You know what? And I think one thing great to give credit to Rowans Law is what I've noticed is that when I call a principal for a grade 12 student now, which happens multiple times a week, and I say, look, we cannot affect the future of this child, they freeze the marks, they provide the accommodations, and they're doing the right thing for these kids. Because the purpose is not to prevent people from reaching their potential, but to help them along the way. And I think this is a first great step with Rowans Law.
Is there a gender difference here? Is the male or female brain more inclined to be concussed or not?
Well, right now there's at least a feeling that women's brains seem to be more vulnerable to concussions and to the persistent symptoms after a concussion. We don't understand why. This is an area of active research. We don't know if it's hormonal. Some people have postulated neck muscles. We actually don't know, but there's a higher incidence of concussion amongst women. The same injury seems to lead to concussion in women and not to men, and we don't actually understand. And the persistent symptoms, which is actually the big problem, because as somebody mentioned, usually people get better within 2 weeks, which, you know, is okay. But having persistent symptoms that can go on for months, years, and indefinitely, that's the big problem.
Okay, so there's scientific evidence for why there shouldn't be hitting in women's hockey. How about heading a ball in soccer? Should we just outlaw that for anybody under a certain age?
Well, Steve, the data tells us right now that female soccer players in many instances and studies have a higher incidence of concussion than male football players. And it goes back to the points that Dr. Tartaglia was making. So, you know, I think she might have been generous saying that we're a 3 or 4 out of 10. I mean, we don't know how to diagnose this condition objectively. We don't have treatments yet. You know, even if you look at recent, you know, the NFL will have a player, you know, Savage, a quarterback, almost seizing on the field, yet nobody recognized that he's back in the next play. So we just need to do a better job, and I think things like Rowans Law bring that public awareness. We need to educate more people, educate doctors in medical schools, educate the worker safety boards, and also a big point is to let people know it just doesn't happen to athletes, it also happens to everyday people.
We got about a minute and a half left, Steve. I want to give it to you to talk about whether or not you think we're at the point in our history where we simply need to say, you know, if you're under 16, you can't play tackle football. We're just not going to allow it. Or if you're under 16, we're just not going to have any hitting in hockey. Something like that. You know what I mean?
Well, certainly in our mission, our vision is that you have Canada free of serious injuries and death, living a long life to the fullest. Now, if you look at hockey and football, if you can eliminate head hits, if you can take it out of the culture to make it incredibly inappropriate, like if you hit somebody in the head that your team wants you out of the game, and you change it, you can actually evolve in the right direction. I don't know if we can just say we're not playing those sports anymore when you're under 16. But what I do know is if we change our culture and move in the right direction, continue to do the research and have the right people looking at it, we'll have a better Canada and we'll take care of our children. But yes, it has to continue to change.
I actually don't know if any of you have kids here, but if you do, would you let them play contact sports? Nilank?
You know what? I wish I could tell you that I'd have the decision in the household, but the decision's not mine. So
Whose is it?
It's the better half. She makes that decision.
And what's her view?
Well, you know, just like every other Canadian, she thinks soccer's safer, and she has a lot of misconceptions.
And that's not true, is it?
And it's not true.
What about you, Carmela?
Yeah, same thing. You know, you want your kids to be active. I would try to direct them towards sports with less contact. But yeah, I played soccer, and now we know that CTE appears in soccer players.
Oh my goodness.
So,
Steve?
Yeah, my kids both played alpine skiing. They played soccer. They did everything because it's okay to play. And you know the odds of getting hurt are low. And my daughter got a good whack. She had a double. You know, she ended up falling in skiing. They didn't tell us that she'd been knocked out. And then she got a soccer ball in the jaw. And then we're like, what the heck? You know, she was pretty badly. She was in the dark room for 2 or 3 months actually. So she missed half of her school year, got her marks frozen, and it worked out fine. She's awesome.
She's okay now.
Yes. So yeah, let them go and play, but don't let them go back in. If it's even a thought that they might get hit, take them out. No more Rowan Stringers, and let's enjoy being, you know, in a great country and play.
Great advice from all of you. Thanks so much to Steve Podborski and to Carmela Tartaglia from Toronto Western Hospital and Nilank Jha, also from Toronto Western and chairman of the concussion clinics, private sector clinics out there dealing with this issue. Thanks very much, everybody.
The Agenda with Steve Bacon is brought to you by the Chartered Professional Accountants of Ontario, helping businesses stay on the right side of change with strategic thinking, insightful decisions, and business leadership. Are you on the right side of change? Ask an Ontario CPA.